the time has come for the Sci-Fi Meme Review. As promised, we will be reviewing some dank sci-fi memes. This is going to be an interesting segment here. I haven't done this before. This is my first go at this. And so I have had to grab these memes myself and will be laughing at them on my own. But maybe in the future, you folks can share them with me. I grabbed these memes a little over 2 weeks ago, I think. Maybe a week and a half ago. Maybe I'm not remembering right. So I haven't seen these for a while. And I did that on purpose because I didn't want to be... I wanted to look at them with kind of fresh eyes, if you will. It's ideal if somebody else picks the memes, for me. But nobody cares that much yet. I don't blame you guys, though. So, without further ado, let's dive into this. So, and this is not entirely a meme here. This is more of just, I suppose, a question. We're starting with this because this is probably a pretty controversial take. Star Trek or Star Wars? Who would win? Well, I think their technology when it comes to weapons, probably fairly similar. They use different terminology, obviously. Granted, I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion. I really don't have a strong opinion. So I'm probably going to piss the majority of people off with my take, which is that I don't know. I don't know that I really care. That said, these two vessels, put these two up against each other. Oh, shnikes. Yeah, that's a word. I would have to go. Yeah, I can't choose. Don't make me choose. I can't. Because one part of me is saying the Millennium Falcon could run circles around the Enterprise, but on the other hand, the Enterprise probably has superior firepower for sure compared to the Millennium Falcon. I would have to go with the Enterprise here, which I think this is the Enterprise. I'm not the biggest Star Trek buff, so if I have misidentified the ship, please let me know in the comments with a very angry note. That would be appreciated. Okay. I do remember this one. I do remember seeing this one. That's good. That's good. For those who don't know, Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. This is from The Office. I as much of The Office as I have seen, I actually don't remember seeing this episode until somewhat recently. And Jim here is doing sort of an impression of Dwight. He's mocking him. He's dressed up like him, and it's funny. I might have to pull the clip up and make a short of it and react to it because it's pretty funny. But yeah, Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. The three things that Dwight is known to talk about. Well, the Bears, not so much. The beats for sure. And I guess he was a Battlestar Galactica fan, so I can relate. Faster than light travel in fiction. Star Trek, we use warp engines. Star Wars, we use hyperdrives. Warhammer 40K. What happened? Why does this keep happening to me? Oh, geez, it spoiled it. Okay. Sorry, another window that I have up. It ruined it. It ruined I was about to read the punchline too. This window pops up, something times out, and it tells me, oh no, your session is expired. We need to shift you over to this other window. It's very important that we do that. Perfect timing. Okay. But Warhammer 40K, we travel through hell. For those who don't know, in Warhammer, that is how they achieve faster than light travel. They have to travel through a hell dimension essentially in order to travel faster than the speed of light. So that is it. By comparison, Star Wars and Star Trek can't hold a candle. That's pretty based there. But between the two, hyperdrives and warp engines, Star Wars, I think, and Star Trek are fairly comparable in terms of how they're. I don't know. Somebody be mean to me in the comments, but they're essentially similar in the way that they travel. They show the faster than light travel more in Star Trek than they do in Star Wars, though. In Star Wars, it's seen as almost like instantaneous. So, but they're essentially the same thing. Will the future really be like TV shows and movies? No. Of course, the scientists, of course, are going to poo-poo everything and they're probably right. Let's not mince words here. Scientists are probably right, definitely. You go and you look back at science fiction throughout the years and what it looked like. It was not really accurate. There are things they said were going to be happening in this day and age. Heck, not even now, like in the 80s and 90s, that haven't even really come true. But the problem is science fiction that was written 100 years ago or so didn't have the greatest grip on science to begin with. And so, in my opinion, they were a less educated group of people. That sounds offensive, but they didn't know as much about science as we do today. They had different ideas, and so their ideas of what the future would look like were very different from what our ideas of our future looks like. I think we have a more accurate picture of what our future could look like than what they did, back in the day. But yes, and they got the personalities right there too. You were warned about AI in 1984, and you didn't listen. Oh no, AI is coming for us. It's not. Don't be afraid. I don't think you need to be afraid of AI. At least not the Terminator. I don't think the Terminator is what you need to be afraid of. Is AI going to be used for some interesting stuff? For sure. For sure. Is it going to cause trouble? Absolutely. It already is. But do we need to panic about it? No, I don't think so. And realistically, what we have now, I have to roll my eyes. People who look at ChatGPT and are like, oh no, it's the end of the world. Oh my gosh. Okay, slow down. Slow down. Do you know that we have had AI around us for ages? You use Google. Google. You right now are on YouTube. It has an algorithm that utilizes, to some degree, what could be called artificial intelligence. So don't think that now AI, air quotes, AI is just now much more visible to the average person. It's just like any other technology. It's been accessible to the elite for a long time in some form or fashion, and now it is becoming commonplace. That's all it is. That stuff is becoming commonplace, and it's being applied to new technologies to help the common individual. That's all. But it's the same stuff. It's the same kind of stuff. right? And so these large language models like ChatGPT or these image generators, right, and those sorts of things, they're nothing to be afraid of, right? Is AI going to reach the Terminator stage? I don't know, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. What are you going to do once we find Earth? Don't know. Maybe open a chain of coffee shops. If you know, you know. The gender swap in Battlestar Galactica, I'm not even mad about. I'm not even mad about. And there's a few reasons why. I mean, I don't think very many people were ultimately mad about the gender swap of Starbuck in the Battlestar Galactica reboot. And it's just because it's Katie Sackhoff. Nobody's gonna, you know, who can be mad at that? That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say on that. Oh boy, I love being on this spaceship that has the newest black hole gravity drive. Holy shit. I just hope the whole crew doesn't suddenly go crazy and everyone starts gouging their eyes out. True story. If you know, you know. What movie is this? I can't remember. I need to watch it again. Man. Oh, I remember watching that on Netflix years ago. Probably almost 10 years ago. Holy cow. Yeah, that's it. Sci-fi horror. Sci-fi horror is an underrated genre. Sci-fi, when you think about it, there's something about like metaphysical horror is maybe not as scary personally. I mean, it can be, but sci-fi horror is like it's it's on the edge of reality. When you really think about it, every sci-fi movie, every sci-fi franchise, if you were dropped in the middle of it, it would essentially be a horror movie. So it wouldn't be much different. Right? Pick any franchise, it would pretty much be a horror movie. Because because even Star Trek would be a horror movie. Just think about it. There's all of these aliens running around in space. That's not something that the modern mind can compute. So that would, yes, it would also be a horror story. Sci- oh dear. Sci-fi show writers explaining how their technology works. Oh my gosh. Serum. Oh yeah, the serum. We gave you that serum and it made you a superhero. Quantum technology. So I think that these first two here are really just a dig at Marvel. But yeah, quantum technology. Quantum is a word that nobody understands unless you understand it. And when you understand what quantum means, it's kind of a letdown. Wormhole. Yeah, wormholes. Yeah, the science of wormholes. Wormholes sound great, guys, but once you're in one, you, you might have second thoughts. A particle beam, but that's fun. I haven't seen a particle beam used as like a trope. Maybe I'm missing what they're saying, but gamma rays for sure. Here's another a shot at Marvel, and of course it's green too. Yeah, gamma rays. Ooh, gamma rays. We put a Greek letter in front of another word, and that made it scary. And nanotech. Nanotech is legit though. You know, nanotech is probably the only one on that pie that I'm like, I'm not just gonna dismiss nanotech offhand. The way, like, if a writer were to use like quantum technology or wormholes, right? Like, why? Like, do you need to? And I personally don't feel the need to explain everything. So, like in my sci-fi stories, I do not go into the details of how the ships do what they do. I know that stuff behind the scenes, but it's not really pertinent to the story. I know for those who love hard sci-fi, that's what gets you hard. But I personally don't write hard sci-fi, so I'm okay without it. Reality shows are for people who can't handle sci-fi. I think this is the inverse of what is it? Sci-fi, maybe even fantasy, is for people who can't handle reality. Yes, yes. Sci-fi is, in my opinion, science fiction is the exercise of the human mechanism of predicting the future. Wow. But I mean, that's so obvious. But there are things to be afraid of in the future. And the human mind can run wild with possibilities. That's where sci-fi comes from. What could go wrong? Imagine everything going wrong in a very specific way. That's science fiction. Okay, this one hits close to home. Frack, a word more annoying than the actual word they're alluding to. Just say it. Everyone knows what it replaces. Hell, even your average 6-year-old knows. Yep. The thing about it, about frack, I did not. By the way, I think it's supposed to be spelled just F-R-A-K without the C. Is that right? Anyway, I have no fracking clue. This is right. This is right. I love Battlestar Galactica. Believe me, I do. But yeah. Now, it just let him get away with saying essentially the F word all the time. But it was not particularly, I don't know. Yeah, it kind of got annoying at a certain point. Fantasy is when your weapon glows blue, and sci-fi is when your weapon blows glue. Ooh, a glue gun though, a real glue gun like this. I don't know, if you were facing a horde of orcs, which one would you rather have? I personally would take the gun that blows glue. I don't know about you. Granted, you know the sword, other than the possibility of it breaking, is essentially infinite use, right? Whereas that glue gun there is clearly going to need some ammunition. Speed limit enforced by sniper. Tusken Raider noises intensify. If only. Honestly, though, if they did this, I would rather they not enforce the speed limit. Well, hold on. The lower end of the speed limit is what I wish they would enforce this way. I'm not being serious, folks, but you know what I mean. Maybe they could paintball your car if you're sitting in the left lane with 12 people behind you, because you don't know how driving works. I could see that. I could see that. We don't need Egyptians and Vikings in science fiction, said no one ever. Huh. So I'm not. This might be Warhammer? I'm guessing. Not super familiar, but I'm down for it. I'm down for it. Sci-fi is when your aliens have pointy ears and fantasy is when your elves have pointy ears. Well, I think what they're trying to say is that the Vulcans are just space elves, and indeed they are. Uh, they are essentially elves in space, and then the Klingons are maybe orcs, perhaps. Again, not the biggest Star Trek buff, so I wouldn't know like what race to compare to each one. But I would say the Klingons probably comparable to orcs is my guess. I wouldn't know who dwarves would be necessarily. Um, yeah, I wouldn't know. The Ferengi might. No, I haven't watched enough Deep Space Nine. I know they're very. They have lots of scruples. I don't know the dwarf. Like who? No, yeah, they're not dwarves. The Ferengi are not dwarves. They couldn't be. That's not a good fit. It's not a good. I don't know what is. Tell me. Let me know what would be a good fit. Who are the dwarves of Star Trek? Let me know. I think this is our last one here. Writers seeing a random idea and then the story they want to get published. I'm maybe a little guilty of this one. I gotta admit, I am guilty of this one. Like I explained earlier, I am working on season 2 of Scions of Oth, and yet I'm taking a break in between writing 2 of those episodes to write the beginning of a new series, and I excuse that, and I pardon myself because that series is set in the same world. It's all interconnected, right? It's justified. It's totally justified. It's got to be. All right, folks. That has been our first installment of the Sci-Fi Meme Review. That was fun. We'll have to do that again next time.